Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of The Two Old Guys. Once again, I'm John Foster, one of the old guys.
I'm Gordy Caverly. I'm the other old guy.
Yes, you are. Very.
Yes, I am. Over the hill picking up speed.
Truly. Tonight,
Yes, sir.
we're going to talk a little bit about the stimulus package.
Which one?
Good question.
Aha!
Good question.
Because it seems to be the best thing that our nonpartisan Congress can do is to pass stimulus packages.
Correct. And I'm glad you said nonpartisan.
Yes, absolutely.
Because,
Because we wouldn't be partisan in Congress at all.
No, truly. And together, over the past 15 months, they've put out how many?
$5 trillion of your money has went to an sundry of wonderful things that if you ever really sit down and figure it out, you will find out that maybe your Congress people don't really care about you.
Well,
They
we
don't care.
Know that. We don't know that.
No, we don't
That's
know that. Excuse me.
What we're going to talk about.
Bad me.
I'm going to get the red button now.
I know.
I'm gonna hit
I get the red button treatment every time, I'm telling you. I'm just glad it's a red button, not an ejection seat.
Yes, true.
Okay, poof,
True.
gone.
So tonight, I keep saying tonight. For those that don't know, we're recording at night. How about that? Today, what we're going to do is talk a little bit about stimulus packages in general, because we are getting ready to do a deep dive into the stimulus packages to identify what's really going on with that money. I mean, legitimately, I think there's things in there that are geared towards stimulating the economy, helping people that really need it. But we also think maybe there's a little pork in there.
Pork? I mean, like
A little bit.
ham? Bacon?
Pork barreling kind
Pork
of thing?
barrel? Oh, pork barreling. Do you folks know what pork barreling is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
It's not a barrel full of pork, okay? It is a barrel full of money, your money, that when your congressmen decide that they don't like a bill, or they don't like a law, or they don't like something that their constituents, or I say not constituents, but they're the people across the aisle that want to get passed. And I'm not speaking Democrat, Republican, I'm speaking either side. They both do it, and they do it to take care of themselves. And if you tracked the pork barreling projects back, you would find that there's probably some type of relationship between these congressmen and people and where that pork barrel money ends up going. Like,
Are you saying that a pork barrel project actually gets funded for that congressman's district?
oh no, I wouldn't say that at all. Yes, I am. I am saying that exactly. So if you're a congressman and you have a Boeing in your backyard, or you have big banks in your backyard, or you have something in your backyard that would like to have some free money, they will be in the pork barrel project. Yes. And if somebody on the other side of the aisle, well, they've got something in their yard too. Well, then they will add that into that pork barrel project. And once both sides get to the point of wherever they got all of their monies allocated, this is my pork barrel project, this is your pork barrel project, but we will hide it under the COVID stimulus package. And then we will submit that to the president, whoever the president is, was, should be, or ever will be. And hopefully we'll pass some of his pork barrel projects. But the funny thing about this is when you get done, you end up something like this most recent pork barrel project, because that's really what it was. Now, in our deep dive, we're going to do some investigation. And if any of you would love to help us investigate, I'm telling you right now, John and I are not pork barrel experts, but in the $1.9 trillion COVID stimulus bill. I'm not sure of the exact percent, but $1.9 trillion. That's 12 zeros for those folks that don't understand trillion. Probably less than 9% went to you. Yeah, think about that. 91% went to probably 2 pages of something that will not impact you very much. If it does, it will be by accident. And but it will impact probably a lot of other projects. Like, for example, I mean, just for example, the United States Postal Service received $20 billion from this Pork Barrel project. And it was really interesting because in April of 20, in the first stimulus package, the United States Postal Service received $9 billion or $10 billion. So in the last less than a year, they've received $30 billion.
Now, there are those that will say that's not even enough. But so
I would say that's not enough if I'm on the receiving end. I need more.
Well, no, I'm just talking about to keep the Postal Service afloat. The question is, are we throwing good money after bad?
I think we've thrown good money after bad for a long time. This government, for years, not just Trump, not just Obama, not just Clinton, whatever, they've lived on the theory of too big to fail. A capitalistic country is designed, if you can't make it, you fail. So we don't know, and John and I are not taking sides here. Not really. We're playing against both sides, but the only side I'm taking is they are spending a lot of $5 trillion. And I received a stimulus check this time, last time.
All three.
All 3 times.
So did I.
Yeah. And I'm not complaining. But I can tell you right now, I didn't need it. But I had to take it. And I will take it and I will spend it. Actually, I'll just pay down debt because that's the smartest thing to do with that stimulus money. That's not what they want. By the way, they want you to spend your money.
Sure. That's what creates stimulus.
That's right. That's why they call it stimulus. Yeah.
Well, and it's intended, I think, also to help people that need a helping hand right now. And
Yeah.
there are people out there. There are people that have lost jobs, people that have lost time on a job. You know, maybe they're working part-time now instead of full-time. There are legitimately people out there that need the money, and some of that money was direct to them. Some of it's going to go on unemployment benefits. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, we can argue all day this whole pandemic thing and the lockdowns and what's happened over the past year. But for these purposes, or the purpose of this video today, what we're really looking at are the line items in the stimulus packages. And I think the deep dive we're going to do is look at all 3 packages, find out what was actually put out there, what the money was really spent on, if it's possible for us to really tell or dig that up, and find out, is this legit?
Well, you know, the interesting thing is $1.9 trillion of stimulus, if it actually went to stimulus so that people would spend it, if you take $1.9 trillion and you divide it by, say, $6,000, that would equal 316,666,000 people would get a check for $6,000.
True.
So, you got a check for $1,400 this time, and your wife got a check for $1,400. That's $2,800. That's a lot better than getting one for 12,000, which you'd probably feel like spending 50% of that. That is stimulus.
That's true, but now you've spent 1.9 million on that, and there are other things out there. I mean, legitimately on that list,
I understand,
there are
and there
things on there
are.
that are legitimate. So you start whacking away at that $6,000 number as you go down that list to figure out what's legitimate and what's pork barrel.
Yeah, and this was $1.9 trillion. So we did this same recurring process of finding out what's legitimate, what does the people really need for stimulus. Over the last 13, 14 months, we've done this 3 times, $5 trillion, and a lot of these companies that are on list 1, they're also on list 2. They're also probably on list 3.
Sure. Well, I think there's going to be a lot on list 1 and 3. 2, when I look at these, the last December, that stimulus package seemed to be geared to really making a difference, getting the money in the hands of the people that really needed it, except there was a big chunk that went to big companies, and I don't know what that really entailed. What'd that go to? But if we start to look at some of these line items and start to determine what's legit, what isn't, I'm going to start with the pay raise that the House of Representatives gave themselves. That was pretty nice, $25 million.
$25 million pay raise the House of Representatives gave themselves. How would you like to just kind of like vote yourself a pay raise? Yeah, it would be kind of pretty good, really.
Yeah, that would. I like it.
I don't believe I've had a pay raise in 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a strange thing when you look at this list of stuff. Now we don't know factually that this list is correct.
Well, it may be correct because a lot of these are referenced from the actual document.
They are referenced, but I haven't seen the actual document. But we're going to get the actual document that's going to have line items for all of this stuff.
Yeah. And as an example, there's a line item that says $25 million to the FAA for administrative costs. Well, on the surface, that's a pretty simple statement, and you go, how's that stimulus? But when you do a deep dive in this, you may find that there's something in there that really was needed.
Well, it probably is. The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, they have a lot of airplanes that fly around on antiquated old systems, and they probably do have a requirement for that. But here's one is for $9 million for miscellaneous Senate expenses. And somebody want to help me with that one?
Yeah. Well, that's just it. We don't know what that is. We don't know what that is. It's you on the surface you say that's pork barreling, or that's even worse. That's just funneling money back into the Senate. But again, we really don't know what that is, what that entails, and I'm hoping that through some deep dive we can actually uncover where these expenses ended up going.
Now, John and I was talking earlier before we would actually flipped on the air, and we looked at the stimulus from last April, and it said $75 million for the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for Humanities, which gives grants to museums and artists. And we both thought, well, that's a pretty good deal. Except this year, 9 months later, there's a $300 million to the Endowment for the Arts.
And
Evidently,
75 million wasn't enough.
75 million wasn't enough. So it's kind of interesting when you look at, and by the way, there was another 300 million for the endowment for the humanities. So there was $600 million between the two, and 75 million wasn't enough.
What is the?
I have no idea.
I want to ask.
Here's one that will. $300 million for migrant and refugee assistance.
Right. Well, I'm surprised that wasn't more.
I'm surprised Bernie not Bernie Madoff, the other Bernie, had anything at all to say about this one line item. $10,000 per person for student loan bailout. Now,
Wait a
I
minute,
think
wait.
1.9 trillion would have bailed out all the student loans in the world. But they felt it was so good during the presidential races that all the student loans be gifted that they actually give them $10,000 apiece.
Would you like to ensure that all those students vote for you in the upcoming elections?
Oh, probably
Pay off a
that's
little bit of their debt.
that's
and
prob-
in most cases, that's only a little bit of their debt.
yeah, exactly right.
But you asked the question about Bernie. I'm pretty sure this was his pet project.
It was his
Yeah,
pet project.
absolutely.
And that's what surprises me, that it only was at $10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I remember specifically hearing him on stage say, "We've got the money, we could pay off every student loan in the United States."
Well, sure we could. We just keep printing money.
Yeah, absolutely.
What? Help me with this one. Where'd it go? $1 billion for the airlines recycle and save program. Where does that fit into the stimulus package? How's that work?
Duh.
No. We're having a good laugh at the expense of.
Yeah, and we'll be the first to tell you, we have not and cannot read between the lines.
Right.
Some of these can be extremely valuable.
Sure.
But when it's all printed money and we're going more in debt every year, and we just went further in debt in the last 14, 15 months by the tune of $5 trillion.
We just
In
went
debt.
further in debt in the last 14, 15 minutes.
Yes.
Let alone months.
Yeah, I have if you ever want to see something cool, go to the usdebtclock.org. It will give you a blow-by-blow account of how far in debt you and your kids really are.
Really. And grandkids and great-grandkids.
Yeah.
At this rate.
Oh, yeah. So we don't know what exactly we're going to do with this, but we're going to try and have some people come in and visit and talk, and we're lining up people right now, and people that are much smarter than we are about that.
Hard to believe, but yeah.
I know. So we are kind of excited about doing some of this research and actually learning along the way. I've never been one not to help other people. I have helped people my whole life. And but if I had that kind of money, I'd probably do a lot of things different with it.
Well, you may not.
This is true.
But I agree.
Given everything that I've seen them get through to get to this point, bang. But I do know this. Our country is in the position it is today because our congressman did something or failed to do something, or passed laws or failed to pass laws, or made decisions that caused us to be exactly where we're at today. And that's $28 to $32 trillion in debt, borders being overrun, and the list could go on.
Sure.
And freedom of speech being threatened, Second Amendment rights being threatened.
Stop banging on the
Stop
table.
banging on the table. And that's being threatened.
People out there are going, oh, stop him.
Or you're going to push that red button.
Yes, I am. Cut your microphone right off.
Oh, yeah. But we're all
Yeah.
in the same boat.
We are. We all got to live with it. And so do all of our ancestors going forward. But I don't know. We got to get the message out. We got to start curbing spending at every level. At every level. I think getting an actual budget in place that they have to be held to would be so nice.
You know, they have analogies for that statement right there. You know,
Yes.
something about you don't pull the cape off Superman, you don't into the wind,
Right.
you don't. Some of these things. How many years have people talked about the government and a budget? Do you realize the
forever.
government has never had a budget?
I gotta believe at some point in time there was a budget. Well, there's always a budget. The question is, nobody ever holds anybody to the budget.
Right. That's exactly right.
Now, I had a conversation with my brother probably at this point now, it's probably been about 10 years ago. But he and I both agreed that the government should do zero-based budgeting, where you start at zero, and then you start to add in what you need. And eventually you come up with a budget, and you start to realize as you do that, the things that are just horrible. How did they ever get in the budget? Like money, huge sums of money to foreign governments. For what? Start those people at zero and say, what do you need and what are we going to get for it? If the answer is nothing, then you get nothing. You know,
I'm
there are just
shocked
some common
about.
sense things to budgeting.
Yeah, I'm literally shocked and basically upset about the money that we give to foreign governments, to governments that literally hate us.
Yeah, I know.
Why would you do that? Would you give money to your next door neighbor if they hated you and they just as soon watch you die? Why,
Or
why
actually
would you
have
do-
a hand in making that happen.
Yeah. I don't know why anybody would want to do this.
No.
Now, I understand there are a certain amount of politics. Politics need to be played, even in real tentative situations with economies and military and stuff like that, and why you still do business with people that don't see things the way you do. Like, for example, China. I've had people tell me, we need China. We need China as much as they need us. We have a whole bunch of people that buy a whole bunch of stuff from China. China needs some place to sell their products to. But China also kills millions of people every year. And they go into, if you ever look at a journal, a paper by Epic Times, this Epic Times magazine, or actually it's a newspaper, it's really a great newspaper. They have followed the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, for years. And they have killed thousands of Falun Gong religious Chinese.
Huh? Okay.
Falun Gong religious Chinese people.
I'm impressed you could even say that.
Yeah, it was written on the wall over there.
Okay. It's scripted. Okay.
So here's a country, and this is where the politics gets so tentative. You have trillions of dollars of e-commerce and commerce going back and forth.
Not to mention they hold most of our note.
They hold most of our note. They loan us money when we need it, stuff like that. So how do you get yourself and your country into beholding to a country that really wants to be number one in the world and wants to control you eventually?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting scenario.
It is. Truly.
So, what else do you have on the plate for the night, Mr. Foster?
For tonight?
Yeah.
Not much for tonight. This was kind of the intro into the next show. Hopefully
Yeah.
the next show, that we'll be able to get it all done by the next show. This is going to take a little bit of time to actually research this and try and identify where this money is being spent. And there's even conversations we've had with people that say the money from the first stimulus bill hasn't even been spent. It isn't even scheduled to be spent until 2022. So how does all that play out? You know, there's a ton of work to do here in a deep dive, and we're going to try and get it done.
Might not be by next Togcast, but it will come in one of their casts.
Right.
Yeah. I know this. We really appreciate you joining us, and feel free to hit the like button down at the bottom of the screen.
And subscribe.
Subscribe. We need subscribers,
Absolutely.
and we need you guys. We need you to want to participate. Call in, write in, email in. If you want to come in and interview, that's fine too. We would love to have you,
Great.
because many minds bring a topic to light and bring points of view, and we will both be willing to tell you that our opinions probably are not exactly right given the dichotomy of all of the opinions that could possibly be out there. So we are more than willing to be enlightened to a different perspective.
Absolutely.
This is Gordy Caverly. I really appreciate your time, and I'm one of the old guys, and I'm signing off for this evening. I wish you all a good night.
Good night, everybody. I'm John Foster, the other old guy, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.